Hello, welcome back. My name is Amanda and this is my YouTube channel all about knitting. Thank you so much for joining me. I know I have been on a little bit of a holiday break, so I really appreciate you coming back and spending some time with me today. We're just going to be talking about the few projects that I worked on over Christmas. I think it's going to be a little bit of a shorter video. I don't know, I tend over the holidays to kind of become a monogamous knitter. I always overpack on projects that I know I want to work on, but then I only end up working on a couple things here and there. So I think this is a pretty good testament to that, again, this past year. But hopefully you have some knitting to work on, a yummy drink, snack, and let's jump into all of my works in progress. As always, everything I talk about today will be linked down below in the description. I also have my affiliate links down there, links to my Instagram, all sorts of stuff. So if you're looking for any information from today's video, it'll be down there. I feel like I don't always mention that all the time anymore, partially because I feel like it kind of, I feel like I'm repeating myself all the time, but new people might not know that, so I need to make sure that I make a bit of a better effort at that. But yeah, okay, knitting. Also, please don't mind the mess behind me. I am hitting the point of pregnancy where I'm not moving around much. Well, not that I'm not moving around, but I'm just less active, and also my active moments are taken up by prepping for baby and that sort of stuff. And so the craft room is just like totally, it's being neglected. It's gonna have to be packed up soon anyways, because this is going to eventually be the nursery. What is this? This is going to eventually be the nursery, and my craft room is moving to a different room in the house. This room just makes the most sense with where like our master bedroom and stuff is, so I'm not terribly concerned about cleaning it because I know very soon I'm going to be boxing things up and moving them and prepping for baby and turning this room into her nursery. So yeah, it's just very, very low on my totem pole of things that I want to get done. I do want to try and get this mess untangled for my own sanity later, as well as ease of showing you what I'm doing. But I guess I can start talking about what this project is while I do this. This is my Kintra Sweater 4-ply. It is a pattern that is in testing for Rebecca Clow. It is, I would call it an advent pattern. That is the main intention of it, I think, is to use up advents or scraps, but it is not coming out until February. So if you're looking to use up your advent and you've had your eye on this pattern, it should be out mid-February. I'm almost untangled. But yeah, I kind of like that, because for me at least, I've found every time I've cast on an advent pattern, as I'm opening an advent calendar, sometimes I just don't like how stuff plays together and then end up ripping it out. And it's nice to open my whole calendar, think about it, think about if I want to move colors around, and then pick a project. So I kind of like the way she's doing it this year. Anyways, this is my Kintra Sweater 4-ply. There are two different weights that are going to be available in this pattern, the 4-ply fingering weight or a DK weight. I do believe the DK weight is technically meant to just hold like a fingering weight advent skein double, but you could also use DK weight scraps for that too. My project is in this bag here from Jenna Rose Handmade. It's just like a bucket bag. I quite like it for carrying around the house. It's really nice to just plop on the floor beside me, and everything, like the balls of yarn, come out of it quite easily, and yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan. Anyways, I have grabbed my handy dandy hanger because I have found showing stuff with this is so much nicer, and we will talk about my Kintra. And I can slide back a little bit. So this is where I am. So last time we spoke, I was where this little progress keeper is with everything else dangling off of it too. So I got about 1.5 and a half done on the body, and then I decided I wanted a break from just endless in the round with like nothing else to do, and I wanted to do a sleeve. So I am almost done this sleeve. I think I have one decrease left on it, and then I will measure it and add the ribbing, but I think I'm about ready to put the ribbing onto this. So before we get any further, can't remember if I said I'm knitting a size 5. And as for yarn, this main color here is from Woolberry Fiber Co. This is on their Berry Merino base, which is 100% superwash merino fingering weight yarn. And this colorway is called Summer Holiday. And then for all of my little stripies here, this is an advent calendar from 2022 from Stress Knits Yarn. This was their Planty Holidays Advent. So I have 24 different colors of mini skeins in there. So yeah, I feel like I've made quite a bit of progress on this. I don't know what I want to do body length wise because pregnant. I know right now I need lots of length in the body, but I'm also going to have my baby in, holy cow, like a month and a half. And then I'm not going to need that extra length. So I almost think I'm going to knit it to what I normally would wear lengthwise, like about 10 to 12 inches. I kind of like stuff a little bit more cropped. It'll look slightly ridiculously cropped on me for the time being. And then once baby's here and my body starts to settle back into itself, it will fit me the way I normally like it. So I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. But yeah, I just have miles and miles of endless stockinette and then ribbing left on this. I should mention, I don't think I've done a sleeve in quite a while to have been able to talk about this, but I do put stitch markers every time I do a decrease on the sleeves. So usually with a sweater or a garment pattern, it will say how many times you need to decrease on the sleeve and how often. So I, before I even start the sleeves, count out the amount of decreases in stitch markers and have them ready to go so that every time I do a decrease, I can just mark it off with my stitch marker and not have to think too much about that. And then I do also use, for my sleeves, these row counters from Twice Sheared Sheep. Basically, every time you come to it, you move it to the next number. So then, for example, right now on this sleeve, I'm doing a decrease every 8th round. So I know, funny enough, I am on a decrease round. I know every time I hit 8, that's when I'll do my decreases, and then I will restart my row counter at 1. So I find it a very, very useful tool. This is probably one of my favorite things that Twice Sheared Sheep makes. I do have an affiliate link for them. I am like a partner with them. I never know how to describe it. Anyways, I have an affiliate link with them. I would never tell you about anything that I didn't love. If I don't love it, I would tell you. If you're interested in them, there is the affiliate link, but you don't have to use it at all. All that link does is gives me a tiny commission off of their sale, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. But I also don't want to pressure you to use it, so no pressure. Anyways, yeah, Kintra, really, oh, what's going on here? Dang it, I snagged something. It seems, that's okay. It's been in this bag for quite some time, and it traveled all the way to Canada with me and back, so the fact that that's the only snag I'm seeing is quite impressive, actually. We were in Canada over the holidays visiting family that I haven't seen in a while. My mom and my mother-in-law and my sisters threw me a baby shower, which was so sweet. It was a really wonderful time. So I am so thankful for that. And this was one of the things, or probably the main thing I knit on. This and my Vivi, which is probably the last thing I'll talk about today. But yeah, I feel like I got a decent amount of work done on this, and I am quite pleased with how it's looking. This has been my mindless evening. I don't want to think knitting because it's obviously just a lot of stockinette. The worst part about working on it is managing 2 balls of yarn on sleeves, because I am alternating for the body 2 skeins of yarn so that I don't get any pooling. So once you get to sleeves and the rounds are really short, I find it slightly annoying to keep alternating the yarns, but it is what it is. I'm doing helical knitting, so it makes it pretty quick. It's probably my favorite way to alternate skeins in the round in stockinette. Once it gets into a pattern where there's lots of textures and stuff going on, I don't particularly love it. But if it's just straight stockinette, I think it works really, really well. I think that is all I had to say about that. Let's talk about something new. I cast on, honestly not that long ago, and it's going pretty darn quickly, a new pattern in testing by my Deglon. And this is, the reason I allowed myself to apply for this test knit is because it's knit out of worsted weight yarn and it has a really big gauge. 16 stitches, I think, per 4 inches. But this is like a, they call it a shacket, so like a sweater jacket combo sort of thing. It reminds me of like a button-down shirt, but a cozy sweater version of a button-down shirt. So this is called the Roadtrip Shacket. I'm knitting the size 4. This pattern does call for Newton, which is like an unspun yarn, or I believe there was a Rauma option as well. But I had in my stash, and this year is going to be the year of working through the stash for me. I don't think I've ordered any yarn this year. Now it's only January 7th, but we're gonna stick with it. Anyways, I had in my stash from Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted, and this colorway is called Haze Heather. And so I had plenty of this. I think I might even have slightly more than I need. So I cast on with this, and I'll show you my swatch first. So as you've probably already seen from photos on the screen, the jacket itself has like a textured portion here and then some pockets. And then after the textured portion and before, no, the pockets are after the textured portion too. So there's the textured portion and then the rest is just stockinette, plain knitting. But this is my swatch of the textured portion blocked. The reason I'm showing you this is because it rolls a lot until it's blocked. So I'm going to show you what I've been working on, but it's going to be really rolled up. But it blocks out quite nicely. The only weird thing, well not weird, but something you have to pay attention to with this pattern is this textured portion has a different gauge than the stockinette portion. So you do have to swatch for both, which I did do, but my swatch for the stockinette I left attached to my ball and then unwound and reused once I cast on. So I have the front of the body done for this, or the front before the sleeve connection done for this, and then now I'm working on the back. And the way I have this on a stitch holder is kind of funny looking, but I'll just show you the one side and you'll get the idea. So this is the right front. So you can see it'll sit like this, and then eventually I will add a collar and everything to it. And here is the stockinette body. This right here, I have never done a patch pocket before, so I cast on extra stitches and then put them on hold for adding the pocket later. So that's what that is. There is a pocket on both sides. So yeah, I have the 2 fronts done and on hold. That looks ridiculous. And then now I cast on last night for the back, which is also, or which also starts with, rather, the textured portion. I don't have tons done, and like I said, it rolls like crazy. But that is cast on and starting, so this will be the back. And then yeah, like I said, once those are done, I think I have to seam them together at the shoulders, if I remember correctly, and then connect them under the arms, and then it'll just be back and forth to do the rest of the body until I reach the bottom hem-ish, because it does have a curved hem. It's a relatively complex pattern. Not hard to follow so far. I haven't had too many issues following the pattern. Obviously it's a test knit, so there's stuff that comes up, but I've had a very easy time following it. There's tons of information, tons of video tutorials, It's just a more complicated pattern overall, but it works that fast because of the really big gauge. So yeah, it's been really fun. It's something I don't have in my knit wardrobe at all. I have a jacket, Shacket, that has a similar fit to what this is going to be. It's a black one and I wear it all the time. So I'm excited to have a knit version of it, and I think the texture is really pretty. I'm excited to use up yarn in my stash. Overall, I think it's a great project. So been working on that quite a bit. And then I really only did one other project. I would say I probably put the most work into this one. If I was around people and just wanting to keep my hands busy, I would work on my Kintra. But otherwise, I worked a lot on this project. And this is my Vivi Pullover by Sari Nordlund. And I really wanted to talk about this today because the pattern is actually coming out this weekend. This pattern is an iteration of a different pattern she came out with earlier, or not earlier, but sometime last year. I can't remember what the pattern is called, but the texture and the cables on this is changed up a little bit. And so I think also just because the body is straight and there's not much there's literally nothing you can mess up on the body after you've done all of your shaping and stuff. All we had to finish was the collar, a sleeve, the body past the shaping, a little bit of the body in the round, and that was it. So I have done that. I'll slide back again. Here's my Vivi. Now it's kind of just resting since I have finished my duties with it. I have done what I needed to do, and now I'm just working on some other test knits, but I do want to pick up and work on the other sleeve on this because, oh my gosh, it's so soft and so squishy. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. So Vivi Pullover by Sari Nordlund. I'm knitting the size 5 for this. I think last episode I realized I had accidentally only increased to the size 4. That's all fixed. This is now a proper size 5 Vivi Pullover. So that's good. That's all fixed. This calls for knitting for all of Merino, held with a knitting for all of soft silk mohair. And what I am using is Woolberry Fabric Co. Berry Merino, which I could grab the cakes really quickly. It's 100% superwash merino, 400 yards per 100 grams in the color Chip. And then I'm holding that with Berry Suri, which is, I did not write the content of that, but I have a tag here. 65% Suri alpaca, 35% silk, 437 yards per 50 grams, so it is a lace weight. And this colorway is called Camp Woolberry. I really love how these are working together. Again, using yarn from my stash, but the Camp Woolberry kind of mutes the chip out just a little bit to make such a pretty neutrally, it never shows pinky on screen like I want it to. Like there's a slight little mauvey pink hint to it, which my camera just never wants to pick up, but absolutely beautiful. Really, really like. So yeah, decreases are all done on this sleeve. You can see the underside of the sleeve is all done in purl stitches, reverse stockinette. The sides of the body are all reverse stockinette as well. And then you just have these beautiful squishy cables. I should mention, when we first cast on for the test knit, Sari didn't realize that this cable was written upside down on the charts. And by the time she noticed and changed it, I was much too far, and she said, don't bother to rip it out, just keep cabling it the way that you are. And so in the pattern itself, those cables will actually look like that, not like this. So mine is ever so slightly different because of that, but I still love it. And yeah, I was so far at that point, and I had already fixed the issue with not increasing to the right size before, and I was like, I am not ripping this whole thing out again and starting over, and she was fine with it. So that I should note, just so you know. This also isn't blocked yet, so it's going to grow a lot once I block it. I definitely am going to get a good 4, if not more. I didn't write it down, but I'm gonna have a decent amount of inches of positive ease on this. So keep that in mind. These sleeves will open up a lot as well. Collar is folded over. I definitely prefer a folded over collar. That has always been my preference, I think. But yeah, otherwise, I didn't put a stitch marker on this where I was last time, so I apologize for that. But I've got a lot done, and I think it's beautiful. I think it's so pretty. So yeah, this is releasing this weekend. I don't know if it's on Friday or Saturday. I could check my Instagram really quick and see if she has noted that at all. I can't remember. Usually she has a specific release day, I think, but I am not 100% sure. Yeah, her Instagram just says next week, so keep an eye out for that. I'm sure she will mention and obviously make posts when the pattern releases on Instagram, and it'll be on Ravelry and all of that fun sort of stuff if you're interested. So other than that, quick plug for Untwisted Threads. My Untwisted Threads for December arrived. It's basically just like a yarn sample, I was holding that upside down, yarn sample card sort of thing. They make YouTube videos rating and ranking all sorts of yarns, and then if you join their Patreon you can get samples of all of the said yarns sent every month. So my December one did arrive, and I'm basically making a big library of squishy yarn samples for when I'm looking for yarn for projects. Obviously this year I'm trying not to purchase yarn, but it is still nice to have some samples for later down the road. What an unfortunate time for my battery to die, right when I'm almost done. I will make sure that Untwisted Threads is linked down below in the description as well. That is not an affiliate link. I just really, really appreciate them, and they do send me those cards as a gift every month, so I do like to mention them every once in a while because I enjoy them and they're kind and they're gifting them to me. So yeah, other than that, I think that is all I have to talk about this episode. Next week, I want to do a what I knit in 2024, but with the 3 to 4 months of morning sickness and all sorts of other things this year, I didn't take terribly great notes of what I worked on, / I don't know what I worked on. So I'm going to try and go through like my podcast notes for last year and see if I can figure out everything I knit in 2024, because it is kind of a fun video just to sit down and go through and figure out what I accomplished in the past year. So I would like to do that. I will not be trying anything on because nothing is going to fit over this baby bump. I can promise you that. But it would be nice just to talk about everything, and I can maybe put them on hangers like I've been doing lately and show them to you in that way. But that is what I'm planning to do for next week. Hopefully those videos are always a lot of work, so I'll have to make sure I start filming that early. Maybe I'll even film it this week a little bit ahead of time. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much for coming back, especially after my little holiday break. I appreciate that you wanted to see what I've been doing and wanted to check out my video. It means a lot. If you did like what you saw today, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. Gets these videos out to other knitters on the internet just like you. And I will see you again very soon. Bye!